Chapter 2 of The Thing from the Lake. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Roger Moline. The Thing from the Lake by Eleanor M. Ingram. Chapter 2. Beware of her fair hair, for she excels all women in the magic of her locks. Shelley, translated. It trailed suavely through my fingers, slipping across my palm like a belt of silk. It glided with the noiseless haste of a thing in flight. Quite naturally, even in the dazed moment of awakening, I closed my hand upon it. It was soft in my grasp, yet resilient; solid, yet supple. If I may speak irrationally, it felt as if it must be fragrant. It was a strange visitor to my experience, yet I recognized its identity unerringly as a blind man gaining sight might identify a flower or a bird. In brief, it only could be, an opulent braid of hair. When I grasped it, it ceased to move. In the dense darkness of my bedroom I lay still and considered. I was alone, or rather, should have been alone in the old house I had bought the day before. The agent assured me that it had been unoccupied for years. Who, then, was my guest? A passer-by seeking refuge in a supposedly deserted house would hardly have moved about with such silent caution. A tramp of this genus would be a rarity indeed. I had nothing with me of value to attract a thief. The usual limited masculine jewelry, a watch, a pair of cuff-links, a modest pin, surely were not sufficiently tempting to snare so dainty a bird of prey as one wearing such plumage as I held. I have not a small fist, yet that braid was a generous handful. How did it come to trail across my bed, in any case? And why was its owner locked in silence and immobility? Surely, startled innocence would have cried out, questioned my grasp, or struggled against it. My captive did neither. I began to paint a picture against the darkness, the picture of a crouching woman, fear-paralyzed, not daring to stir, to sob, or pant or shiver lest she betray herself. Or, perhaps, a woman who was not hushed by panic, but by deliberation. A woman who slowly leveled a weapon, assuring her aim in the blank darkness by such guides as my breathing and the taut direction of her imprisoned tresses. An ugly woman could not have hair such as this. Or could she? I had a doubtful recollection of various long-haired demonstrators glimpsed in drug-shop windows, who were not beautiful. Yes, but they would never have found themselves in such a situation as this one. Only resolve or recklessness could bring a woman to such a pass, and with spirit and this hair, no woman could be ugly. How quiet she was! I suddenly reflected that she must be thinking the same thing of me, since neither of us had moved during a considerable space of time. Possibly she fancied me only half aroused, and hoped that I would relapse into sleep without realizing upon what my drowsy grasp had closed. No doubt it would have been the course of chivalry for me to pretend to do so, but it was not the course of curiosity. The deadlock could not last indefinitely. Apparently, though, it must be I who should break it. As quietly as possible, I brought my left hand forward to grope along that silken line which certainly must guide me to the intruder herself. My hand slipped along the smooth surface to the full reach of my arm, and encountered nothing. Check for the first attempt. The candle and matches I had bought in the village were also beyond my reach, unless I released my captive and rolled across the bed toward the little bookcase, where I had placed them beside the flashlight. If I should speak, what would she do? And a new thought! Was she alone in the house? There came a gentle draw at the braid, instantly ceasing as I automatically tightened my hold. The pretense that I slept was ended. I spoke as soothingly and kindly as I could manage. "If you will let me strike a light, we can explain to each other. Or, if you will agree not to escape." In spite of my efforts, my voice boomed startlingly through the dark, still room. No reply followed, but the braid quivered and suddenly relaxed from its tension. She must have come closer to me. Delighted by so much success attained and intrigued by the novelty of the adventure, I moved slightly, stretching my free arm in the direction of the flashlight. "I am not a difficult person," I essayed encouragement. "Nor too dull, I hope, to understand a mistake or a necessity. Nor am I affiliated with the police. Permit me—" I halted abruptly. A cool edge of metal had been laid across the wrist of my groping hand. As the hand came to rest, palm uppermost, I could feel, or imagined I could feel, my pulse beating steadily against the menacing pressure of the blade. The warning was eloquent and sufficient. I moved no further toward my flashlight. Of course, if I had lifted my right hand from its guard of the braid, I could easily have pinioned the arm which poised the knife before I suffered much harm. But I might have lost my captive in the attempt, an event for which I was not ready yet. "Check," I admitted. "Although it is rather near a stalemate for us both, isn't it?" The knife pressed closer, suggestively. "No," I dissented with the mute argument. "I think not. I do not believe you could do it, not in cold blood, anyway." "You do not know," insisted the closer pressing blade, as if with a tongue. "No, I do not know," I translated aloud. "But I am confident enough to chance it. What reason have you for desperate action? I would not harm you. Have I not a right to curiosity? This is my house, you know, or perhaps you do not know that?" A sigh stirred the silence, blending with the ceaseless whisper of the rain that had recommenced through the night. The braid did not move in my right hand, nor did the blade touching my left. "Speak," I begged with an abrupt urgency that surprised myself. "You are the invader. Why? What would you have from me? If I am to let you go, at least speak to me first. This is uncanny." "There is magic in the third time of asking," came a breathed, just audible whisper. "Yet be warned. Call not to you that which you may neither hold nor forbid." "But I do call, if that will make you speak to me," I returned, my pulses tingling triumph. "Although as to not holding you—" "You fancy you hold me? It is not you who are master of this moment, but I who am its mistress." Her voice had gained in strength. A soft voice, yet not weak, used with a delicate deliberation that gave her speech the effect of being a caprice of her own rather than a result of my compulsion. Yet, I thought, she must be crouched or kneeling beside me, on the floor, held like the lady of the beautiful tresses. "Still, I doubt if you have the disposition to use your advantage," I began. "You mean the cruelty," she corrected me. "I am from New York," I smiled. "Let me say, the nerve. If you pressed that knife, I might bleed to death, you know." "Would you hear a story of a woman of my house, and her anger, before you doubt too far?" "Tell me," I consented, and smiled in the darkness at the transparent plan to distract my attention from that imprisoned braid.